He wiped the grease off his hands and looked up just as she walked in, heels clicking against the garage floor, perfume cutting through the smell of oil and metal. Everyone stopped what they were doing. She didn't belong here. Not in that tailored white suit. Not with those diamond earrings that caught the sunlight like they owned it. And when she turned to him, smiled, and said softly, "Will you be my date for the weekend?" The wrench in his hand slipped. He had no idea that saying yes would change everything he thought he knew about himself, about love, and about the world that had never once been kind to him. He'd grown up fixing other people's problems, broken engines, busted transmissions, cars that looked hopeless until his hands brought them back to life. Ethan Kane was the small-town mechanic everyone trusted, though no one really knew him. He lived above the garage, alone, the steady hum of late-night repairs keeping him company. Life was simple, honest work, quiet evenings, and no room for dreams he couldn't afford. That Friday afternoon, the rain had just started when a black Bentley pulled up outside his shop. It was the kind of car that never stopped here, the kind that usually sped by, splashing muddy water on the people who fixed their world. The door opened, and she stepped out. Her name was Lily Harrow. At least, that's all she told him. Her voice was calm, confident, but there was something in her eyes, a weariness that didn't belong to someone who looked like she had everything. She walked straight up to him, ignoring the curious stares from his crew. "I need a favor," she said, brushing a raindrop from her cheek. "A personal one." Ethan frowned. "I'm better with engines than people. That's exactly why I'm asking you." She smiled, and it wasn't rehearsed, it was nervous, real. "Will you be my date for the weekend?" He blinked. "You serious?" She nodded, handing him a sleek black invitation card with gold lettering. "Harrow Enterprises Annual Gala, Private Estate, I can pay," she added quickly. "I just need someone, normal." Normal. That word stung more than he expected. Maybe because he'd always been nothing else. But something about her tone, vulnerable, almost pleading, made him say yes before he could think. The next evening, he found himself in a tuxedo that didn't quite fit, driving up a hill that led to a mansion glittering with lights. The estate was enormous, fountains, marble stairs, valet lines. And Lily, stepping out beside him, looked like royalty. Heads turned the moment they entered. He felt completely out of place, but Lily slipped her arm through his and whispered, "Just be yourself." He didn't realize then how much that meant. Inside, the air was thick with wealth, crystal glasses, violins, laughter that hid judgment. A man approached, smirking. "Lily, darling. Your date?" His eyes traveled over Ethan's worn hands and uneven bow tie. "Yes," Lily said firmly. "He's with me." The man chuckled, clearly not convinced. Ethan clenched his jaw, but Lily's fingers tightened around his arm, steadying him, protecting him. And that small gesture told him more about her heart than any word could. They danced later, awkwardly at first, then slowly finding rhythm. He told her about engines and late nights, she told him about boardrooms and people who smiled while plotting your fall. Beneath the chandeliers, they found common ground neither expected, two people who'd both been underestimated their entire lives, but the night didn't end softly. As they left the ballroom, a reporter cornered them. "Miss Harrow, the media's curious, your company's shareholders weren't expecting you to show up with a mechanic. Is this a publicity stunt?" Ethan froze. "Mechanic? How did they know?" He turned to Lily, confusion and anger crossing his face. She looked pale. "I didn't mean for it to come out like this," she whispered. "I was going to tell you." He pulled his arm away. "You're the CEO?" She nodded, tears forming. "I didn't want you to treat me like they do. I just wanted a weekend where I wasn't a title." But he couldn't hear her over the sound of humiliation pounding in his ears. The cameras flashed, questions shouted, and by the time she tried to reach for him, he was gone. The next day, Ethan was back at the garage, hands deep in an engine, pretending his chest didn't ache. The guys teased him, but he barely heard them. Every wrench turn felt heavier. He wasn't angry at her for being rich, he was angry because he'd let himself feel something, and now it felt foolish. That's when she walked in again. No makeup. No diamonds. Just Lily. I came to say I'm sorry, she said softly. You were right, I should have told you. I've spent so long surrounded by people who only see money, I forgot how to just be someone. He looked at her for a long moment, then sighed. You didn't need to pretend. You just needed to be honest. She nodded, stepping closer. Then let me be, now. Ethan, I don't want the weekend to be over. I want to start again, no titles, no lies. Just us. He searched her face, the woman who had lied to him, but also the one who had looked at him like he was enough. And maybe that was worth a second chance. All right, he said quietly. But this time, no tucks. She laughed through her tears. Deal. Weeks passed. They met in coffee shops, old diners, and late nights at his garage. She watched him fix cars, he watched her laugh without the weight of her company pressing down. He taught her how to change a tire, she taught him how to believe in bigger things. They became each other's balance, the grease and the glitter, the silence and the spotlight, but their worlds couldn't stay separate forever. Her board found out. Whispers started. The CEO dating a mechanic? It'll ruin her credibility. Investors threatened to pull out. Her assistant begged her to end it quietly. Instead, at the next press conference, Lily walked up to the podium, heart pounding. Cameras flashed, questions flew, but she spoke anyway. You all know me as Lily Harrow, the CEO, she said, her voice steady. But before the titles and the money, I was just a girl who worked hard to be seen. I met someone who reminded me of that, and I won't apologize for loving someone real. The room went silent. Somewhere in that crowd, Ethan stood watching, hands still stained with oil, but his heart full. Later, when she stepped down from the stage, he met her halfway. You didn't have to do that, he said. Yes, I did, she whispered. You taught me that love isn't about matching worlds, it's about building one together. He smiled. Guess we're under construction then. She laughed, and for the first time, she wasn't the CEO and he wasn't the mechanic. They were just two people who found home in each other's arms, and that weekend, the one that started as a lie, became the beginning of a life neither of them ever saw coming, because sometimes, love doesn't care about titles, or money, or the mess in your hands. Sometimes, it just asks one question: will you be my date for the weekend? And if you're brave enough to say yes, it might just change your forever.